all Democrat-run cities, and they think they're going to use them to vote. It's not going to happen.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to exercise my role, if you will, as
Trump walked into the G7 like it was his rally and got silenced mid-rant by Canada's Prime Minister in front of the entire world.
And Donald Trump started praising Vladimir Putin, bragging about how Putin only wants to talk to Donald Trump. Trump started attacking democratic cities in the United States.
He praised Putin, attacked US cities, and turned a global summit into his personal meltdown. This time, it wasn't just awkward, it was humiliating, and the cameras didn't miss a second of it.
Thank you. Thank you, media. Let's go.
For decades, the G7 stood as a symbol of unity. 7 of the world's biggest powers sitting at the same table, solving global problems. But this year, the only thing unified was the tension. As world leaders flew into Alberta to tackle war, inflation, and global instability, there was one name on everyone's mind, and it wasn't Putin. It was President Donald Trump. And not because anyone missed him, but because everyone knew the second he walked in, the summit would stop being about diplomacy and start being about damage control.
Russia and you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago. But it didn't work out that way. But
he didn't come to collaborate, but came to dominate the headlines. Handshakes turned stiff, smiles went fake, and every leader started bracing for impact. Because when Trump shows up, it's not a summit anymore, it's a spotlight, and he's there to burn it down. And this time, he didn't just bring noise, he brought chaos.
But they're also met with protests visible from the sky and the ground.
We want health care, no more warfare!
And while the leaders inside braced for the storm, the people outside were already done waiting. Before Trump even set foot on Canadian soil, the streets of Ottawa erupted, not in celebration, but in resistance.
And sending a direct message to U.S. President Donald Trump.
Take your hands off our country. Don't bring your chaos up here.
We got to stand with the people that want democracy and not fascism.
Thousands lined the sidewalks with signs that didn't mince words. No tyrants here. We remember the 1930s. This wasn't a polite protest, but a loud warning.
I'm Terry Fikowski in downtown Calgary, where on Sunday, several groups met to protest as G7 leaders start to touch down in Alberta for the summit in Kananaskis.
And it wasn't just students or activists. It was parents, business owners, war veterans, regular Canadians standing shoulder to shoulder, not against America, but against what Trump's version of it has become. This wasn't about partisanship. It was about rejecting the politics of fear and control. And the most humiliating part? Trump didn't just lose the room inside, he lost the crowd outside too. That's rejection in real time. While crowds outside held signs, Mark Carney was holding the room. As G7 chair, he didn't welcome Trump with fanfare. He welcomed him with silence and control. No flattery, no theatrics, just steady control that made one thing clear. Trump wasn't running anything here. But of course, Trump couldn't handle being sidelined, so he did what he always does when he's not in control. He made a scene. Before the summit event officially began, he hijacked the first press conference and turned it into a full-blown circus.
most of those people are in the cities, all blue cities, all Democrat-run cities, and they think they're going to use them to vote. It's not going to happen.
He praised Vladimir Putin like they were pen pals, attacked democratic cities like he was on the campaign trail, and rambled about the G8 like the world was just waiting for his invitation list. And while the press looked stunned, Carney didn't surprise at all. Because this is exactly what he knew was coming. Trump wasn't there to collaborate. He was there to provoke, dominate, and drag the entire G7 down with him. And in less than 10 minutes, he proved it.
Putin speaks to me. He doesn't speak to anybody else. He doesn't want to talk because he was very insulted when he got thrown out of the G8. As I would be, as you would be, as anybody would be. He was very insulted.
And then came the line that sealed it. Putin speaks to me. He doesn't speak to anyone else. That wasn't just off script, it was off the rails. In the middle of a global summit, Trump positioned himself not as an ally to democracies, but as Putin's preferred contact. Think about that. While the world gathered to hold Russia accountable, Trump stood there bragging about being the one man Putin still trusts.
The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in. And I would say that that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in. And you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago. But
it wasn't just tone deaf, it was dangerous. He rewrote history, blamed Obama and Trudeau for kicking Russia out of the G8, and claimed the war in Ukraine wouldn't have happened if he were in charge. Literally no data, no strategy, just delusion dressed up as diplomacy. Right after that Putin rant, Trump pivoted straight into trade, and instead of calming the room, he made it worse. When asked about a deal with Canada, he didn't offer policy or even basic respect. He just said, "So much for being Mr. Nice Guy." According to Trump, tariffs are great because they're simple and fast, never mind the fact that they're also tanking jobs, raising prices, and wrecking supply chains. Meanwhile, Carney's pushing for a structured agreement, something long-term and strategic. But Trump waves it off like it's too complicated, because if it doesn't fit in a slogan, he's not interested. He's not negotiating to help people, he's using trade as a weapon, and Canada's supposed to just take the hit. As if economic threats weren't enough, Trump used the summit spotlight to escalate something even more dangerous: fear.
Why are you ordering ICE to target Democratic inner cities? What's behind that?
I don't know what you're saying.
You did a post last night where you said you want ICE to really target Democratic.
Yeah, I want them to focus on the cities. I look at how that city has been overrun by criminals, and New York and LA. Look at LA. Those people weren't from LA. They weren't from California.
Just before arriving in Canada, he publicly vowed to send ICE into Democratic cities, calling them crime zones and accusing them of stealing elections. Cities like LA, Chicago, and New York weren't just political opponents in his mind, they were battlegrounds he was ready to invade.
Biden allowed 21 million people to come into our country. Of that, vast numbers of those people were murderers, killers, people from gangs, people from jails. They emptied their jails out into the U.S. Most of those people are in the cities, all blue cities, all Democrat-run cities, and they think they're going to use them to vote. It's not going to happen.
This wasn't national security. It was a calculated attack on his own country for political gain. Trump didn't come to the G7 to strengthen alliances. He came to sell the world a version of America that treats its own citizens like enemies. And the fact that he pushed this narrative from a global platform shows exactly where his priorities are. Not with diplomacy, not with unity, but with control. Buckle up. Here's the moment everyone was waiting for. With the world watching, Trump spiraled into a rant, praising Putin, trashing U.S. cities, spewing chaos like it was a campaign rally. And right in the middle of it, Prime Minister Mark Carney did something no one expected. He shut it down. He didn't end it with words or courtesy. He ended it with power, the kind that doesn't ask for silence. It enforces it. He cut Trump off mid-sentence, ended the press conference, and ordered everyone out. Reporters, cameras, the whole room cleared. Honestly, this wasn't just a mic drop, it was a public rejection.
That's it. Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to exercise my role, if you will, as a G7 chair since.
A sitting G7 chair silenced a former U.S. president in front of global media, not because of policy disagreements, but because Trump's behavior was too reckless to tolerate. That clip didn't need commentary. It spoke louder than any headline. Trump came to hijack the summit, and Carney kicked him out of his own show. While world leaders discussed war and economics, what happened? Eric Trump was out promoting Trumpmobile like it was a clearance sale on credibility. As his father unraveled at the summit, the family launched a phone brand because nothing says global leadership like monetizing a meltdown.
So I think we can do it better, we can do it cheaper. We plan to build phones in America. All of our customer support is in America. You're speaking to Americans, so we're building a mobile network by Americans for Americans, and so we started Trump Mobile.
Let's be real, it wasn't a strategy. It was grift, and it confirmed what everyone already knew. For the Trumps, even humiliation is a business opportunity. Trump didn't just humiliate himself at the summit, he exposed the cost of his chaos in real time. While he ranted about tariffs like they were a flex, Canadian businesses were already feeling the hit. Prices up, jobs gone, supply chains stalled. Trump's trade war wasn't protecting American workers. It was punishing Canada for refusing to play along. But the fallout didn't stop at the border. Back in the US, his party pushed a budget that cuts healthcare, slashes food aid, and hands more tax breaks to the rich. And when the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office called it what it was, economic sabotage, Trump's allies didn't defend the numbers. They attacked the messenger instead.
Been again accused of being partisan. You're a Republican.
They accused the CBO of being biased, even though it's literally run by a Republican. Because that's what this has always been about. Control the narrative, ignore the facts, and punish anyone who gets in the way. And now, the same man who couldn't hold it together at a global summit wants to rewrite the economic future of two countries. So, no, the G7 wasn't just a bad look, it was a warning shot. Trump didn't walk out respected, he walked out exposed. Rejected by the streets, silenced by a prime minister, and dragged by reality. And this time, not even the loudest mic could save him. So, if this is how Trump handles allies, chaos, and global pressure, what happens if he's back in charge? If you're done watching power get abused and truth get buried, hit that subscribe button and stay loud, because silence never saves anyone.